Hello everyone, this is Miller in Maryland, and today we're going to be talking about the Magic School Bus. We're all familiar with this show, a bunch of kids going on a bunch of adventures and field trips with this crazy teacher who somehow owns that Magic School Bus. This show aired in the 1990s on PBS and TLC. Yeah, that TLC, the My 600 Pound Life TLC. Crazy, huh? Anyways, this made up a bunch of our childhoods and has been extremely popular with kids. Not only that, adults seem to really like it too. The overall impact of the show is just incredible. One of the greatest educational shows of all time. Now today we're going to be talking about a specific aspect of the show. Transformations. This actually happens quite frequently in the show. There are like 6 episodes where this happens, 7 if you count that one episode where Phoebe gets turned into a plant. Now you may be wondering, Miller, don't they turn into animals in the reboot too? To that I say, we don't ever talk about the reboot, you little shit! So today we're going to be talking about In the City, which is perhaps my favorite instance of something like this happening, and it's actually one of the final episodes in the show. So let's dive in, shall we? So we start off with the class finally getting to go on a normal field trip to the zoo, which could explain why Miss Frizzle's not there. I mean, if you were a teacher and had a teaching style like Miss Frizzle, you'd probably view zoos as incredibly boring as well. So Arnold, Phoebe, Keisha, and Tim are all checking out the foxes, Dorothy, Ann, and Carlos are all looking at the peregrine falcons, and Wanda and Ralphie are all looking at the possums. Foreshadowing, for the most part. And they're all like,
Black and sipping.
Yeah, black and sipping.
yeah, so anyways, it's closing time and they all need to leave, and as they're all exiting the zoo, the titular bus pulls up and with it Miss Frizzle, and as they're all boarding the bus, Miss Frizzle asks how their normal field trip was, casually making a Wizard of Oz reference in the process, and the kids all start glazing the fact that they're keeping wild animals in captivity, and because of this, they're all thinking that wild animals can't survive the city for some reason, not really helping with keeping wildlife wild, but okay.
Yeah, because when you live in the city, there's no way you could see any wild animals.
Has he been in cities lately? Like, whenever I'm walking in the streets in my city, there are squirrels. And I'm pretty sure squirrels are wild animals. Even though we kept them as pets in the 1800s and could hypothetically go back to that anyways, these kids start talking about wild animals in the zoos and streets, and Tim says this.
Yeah, what would be really weird would be to see all those animals out here on the city streets. Can you feature that?
Tim. Buddy. Knowing your teacher, do you have any idea what you had just bestowed upon you and your classmates? So Miss Frizzle, being Miss Frizzle, takes this the totally wrong way, and Arnold, being literally the only sensible human on that bus, starts panicking and begging Tim to take it back, but he doesn't and it's way too late, and she transforms the class in the middle of the city street. Yeah, you're seeing this correctly. She's doing all this in the middle of the street, a public place, acting like nobody's gonna notice this. So the bus turns into a tornado and transports them into a sidewalk, and out comes the class, as almost the exact same animals they saw in the zoo. The only difference being Keisha being turned into a possum instead of a fox. Miss Frizzle is turned into a raccoon, and the bus for some reason is turned into a bear. The only one who, for whatever reason, is not impacted by this is Liz. Also, the hairdos of these folks are intact. I mean, it's not optimal, it's kind of creepy, but at least it's better than heads sticking out of animal bodies. So anyways, they're all reacting and Tim acts like he never suggested this in the first place, and Miss Frizzle, as she always does, acts like everything is all cool when she literally just committed a serious crime, and Carlos is like, how bad could this possibly be? I mean, sure, we're wild animals in the middle of the city, but... So they all get out of the way, and all these bicyclers just pass by, and because this show hates Arnold so damn much, they make them splash water on him. So they're all facing the reality of being wild animals in the city and start having second thoughts on it, so they decide to go to the bus, and Miss Frizzle agrees. There's just one teeny tiny problem.
To the bus!
The bus is gone, and instead of catching up like sensible people, they just scream from afar.
Hey, Liz, stop!
Hey, you're hearing this shit? Yeah, just ignore it. Rabies ain't worth it, dude. Okay, is that a fucking bear? On top of all that, Miss Frizzle can't whistle because she's a raccoon, and on top of that, because the bus is in the shape of a dangerous animal, it's at risk of being pursued. So the class must either get to the bus in time, or they're going to be wild animals forever. They're just going to disappear. Their parents are probably not going to know how they lost their children. It's going to be a real shit show. Luckily for us, Dorothy, Ann, and Carlos, being falcons, fly up and try to locate the bus. Yo, you seeing this shit? What? These falcons are talking, and they have human hairdos. Dude, are we going into the future? We must be evolving as a species. Who's we? We're states. Oh. So the bus, being in bear form, continues to do bear things and... Oh, I see. Liz is trying to control it, but is failing miserably, and... You fool. You've doomed them all. So now the bus is heading downtown, and instead of continuing to pursue it, Carlos and Dorothy Ann give the rest of the class an update. Like, at least one of you couldn't have continued to pursue the bus. I mean, by the time you two are done, it's probably going to be in another direction anyway.
It's not like we can just walk around in the city looking like this. We're wild animals.
Wait, Tim, you're concerned about the fact that you're a wild animal and not by the looks? What? So, immediately after saying that, Tim and the rest of the class try to pursue the bear, but then somebody call Matt Wash, because we got a freaking pit bull just doing normal dog things, and holy shit, it's after them!
So Arnold, Phoebe, and Tim continue to be chased by the dog. Luckily for them, they find a shed and they go through. That saved them from the dog.
Forget it, Jake. There's no way you'll catch whatever's in there.
Whoa, they actually predicted Adventure Time. So after Arnold, Phoebe, and Tim get saved by God, they notice a raccoon doing normal raccoon things, in this instance, trying to eat. And Arnold pulls up to the meal, thinking he could get a piece of the pie, but nope. So the rest of the class catches up to the foxes.
There's a raccoon in there, Miss Frizzle, just like you. Do you believe that? Right here in the middle of the city.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. So yeah, they turn into opportunistic eaters and eat a bunch of cherries. Tim, of course, is concerned with getting back to the bus and notices that it's getting really dark out. Yeah, you know what they say, buddy. Always watch what you say, both online and in person. Bet that's a lesson that's gonna stick to you, huh, Tim? So Dorothy, Ann, and Carlos go for the bus again, but they spot a light surrounded by nighthawks, and Carlos immediately starts thinking about eating them. However, moral Ann here is like, hell nah, and... uh-oh. Yeah, y'all, just accept you're cucked. So the two start getting rather tired and are looking for something to perch on, and they decide on a skyscraper. While all that's happening, the rest of the class is looking for something to eat, and they go with garbage, because that's what other wild animals are doing. And they all start treating this like a 5-star restaurant for some reason.
Jump in, guys. There's plenty for everyone.
I've heard of junk food, but this is fantastic.
Yeah, you better get it. No, but seriously though, I really like how they bring into like how raccoons, possums, and foxes are all opportunistic eaters. So they all start thinking, hey, this is actually not that bad. But Tim here reminds them that the bus is still a bear and they really need to get going. So he and Phoebe use their noses to track it down, and that's what they do. Because as Miss Frizzle said,
A fox's nose.
yeah. Unfortunately, as predicted, there are people pursuing the bus bear. Yeah, because all bears have windows. Luckily for them, they find it, making an artificial cave for itself, and they finally catch up to it. Unfortunately, those two men I talked about earlier catch up as well, so Tim decides to distract them.
What was that?
A fox, and a real beauty, too.
These two men don't notice anything weird about the fox? Okay. So he fails to keep them at bay though, so Miss Frizzle decides, you know what, I'm gonna do it.
What's that? Looks like a raccoon.
How are they treating them like regular animals when they have human hair? You know what I would have done if I saw a raccoon wearing a silly wig? I would have recorded that on my phone, posted it on TikTok, and grabbed the government's attention. These animals would have definitely been put in the government facility if this were real. So anyways, Miss Frizzle confronts them and...
No way, I'm gonna mess with an angry raccoon. She must have her family hidden around here somewhere. Better come back tomorrow, when she's asleep.
Surprisingly, this works. I mean, I would go away too if I saw a hissing raccoon, wouldn't want to get rabies, but at the same time, it's really hilarious. Like, you guys are so afraid of raccoons, then why are you pursuing a bear in the first place? Bears are significantly more dangerous to humans than raccoons, especially in regard to their size, strength, and capabilities. If you can't handle a hissing raccoon, what makes you qualified to go after a dangerous bear? So the class dismantles the bus's artificial cave and gets it to wake up, and just like that, they're back to normal. And they proceed back in the dead of night like nothing happened. Honestly, if Miss Frizzle wanted to save herself from the situation, she definitely needs to make an excuse about how she put the entire class in detention for bad behavior. But you know, it's Miss Frizzle. Her crimes against humanity are treated like a normal Tuesday. And it could have ended a lot worse. The bus would have been captured, and they all would have probably been dead within a year or two. Yeah, as it turns out, wild animals living with humans is not optimal, like at all. Cars, hunters, all sorts of things. Anyways, thanks for watching. This is Miller, Maryland. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time.